Pleasant good evening, sir.
Thank you so much, Mikey. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a pleasure having you as always. I mean, you're no stranger here, always welcome and very insightful when you make your contribution. How are you feeling this evening, first of all?
Well, I am feeling pretty good. After looking at the numbers from the EBC, the preliminary data, I mean, we have captured 16,000 votes, Mikey. I mean, that is simply overwhelming. We were actually hoping to gather a couple of seats, but that didn't turn out as planned. But we knew we were going into an area of P&M strongholds, so that really came as no surprise. But I mean, 16,000 votes for a party that is 15 months old, that is overwhelming.
And let me ask you, do you think anything could have been better for a new party cutting its political teeth?
Well, I think we had the right mechanism in place to gather the votes. As you can see, you just don't get 16,000 votes overnight. But what I think could have been a little better for us would have been preparation in terms of the length of time we had to prepare. Now, the PNM would have had to call this election based on a ruling by the Privy Council. So they would have had some amount of knowledge that it wasn't going their way, and they would have already started to put things in place to get an unfair advantage over the rest of parties. So I think one of the things that could have been done better or should be done better in the future is having a fixed set date for elections rather than it being some sort of a guessing game where, some party has an advantage over the other. Yeah, but other than that, I think everything went pretty well for us.
And of course, that would come with some sort of constitutional reform that would implement something like that, have that on the books, that we have a fixed date for the elections. And hopefully that could come about. I think we've reached a point now where we are social and politically mature enough to have these things on a fixed date moving forward. What was quite interesting from your political leader, Mr. Gary Griffith, is in his statement, he says that he is not only willing to continue the partnership with the UNC, but also the NTA intends to reach out to other parties to ensure citizens get the best representation possible. Does the NTA view itself as that unifying factor that can perhaps communicate with others where other parties may have a difficulty, or is it a sense of our culture that once a political party is formed, it becomes an enemy to everyone else, and rather than focusing on uniting everyone? I mean, how does the NTA, when the leader makes a statement like this, how do you define that?
Sure. So I am in full support of that as well. I think we are a party of the people, and our target audience is really what you would call the bridge constituency. This is not the hardcore PNM or the hardcore UNC voters. This would have been the undecided group of voters that simply, they swung one way or the other, depending on whatever. And particularly, a large percentage of our voters are actually youth-based, which is exactly what we would have hoped for as well. I just want to draw your attention to something. Initially, when our political leader reached out to parties to get them to come on board, or for us to assist with them, the very first party that she actually reached out to was the People's National Movement. Now, they had turned down that offer, and we had reached out to UNC and a few other parties, and we have worked closely with other parties, and that relationship seems to be building. It's based on trust and experience and that sort of thing, and it is building. And I could see in the future that there will be other parties reaching out to us, even if we don't reach out to them to have some mutual discussions.
Yeah, Mr. Griffith also added that the NTA is not here to compete, but instead to mend fences, build bridges, and communicate with different political parties. I mean, that may sound simple, but there are some individuals who may be driven more by their ego than actually trying to build something which is better for this country. Then what is the process going to be when it comes to vetting this situation?
So that is absolutely right, and that is a correct statement. We see ourselves as countrymen, people who come in and they want to serve the country. So although we may be aligned with a political party of our own, we wish to serve the country. If that means that we have to gather resources from other political parties, whether it's their knowledge or their know-how, or they wish to assist in, getting their people on board with us, however that is done, those details will be worked out in future when that time comes. But, it's country first for us.
Yeah, and one of the things that I did ask, of course, Khadija Amin a few minutes ago, was the fact that hearing from the PNM, one of their talk show hosts saying that they were quite aware that the party was not popular, that the party wasn't liked at this time. So one of the things that they know for sure is that people gravitated to the candidate. Now, looking at that, what are some of the dynamics that is going to be needed to move forward? Is it going to be more towards the youths, or is there a certain sector that has been overlooked for far too long that needs to be looked at and illuminated more as you move forward to 2025?
Yeah, so local government issues are very different from general government issues, which we will now see people campaigning on for the upcoming general elections, right? So when you campaign on local government issues, there are just a few things that you could campaign on, things like roads and whether the grass was cut in the area, picking up garbage, those sort of things. And they may have been able to get away with those things in the past, because if you look at the map, the EBC map, you will see a very small area. If you were to look at the percentage, maybe about 25% of that map is red, and the end results are 7-7. But when it comes to general elections, that shifts dynamically, because they could end up sorting out their constituencies alone and forget everybody else, and that is how they were able to win those areas, right? Yeah. But when it comes to general elections, the issues that are surrounding the entire country comes into play. Things like crime, no matter where you go in the country, crime is high, and that is where I think things like crime and unemployment and agriculture and those sort of issues, I think it'll be very difficult for them to pull a wool over the people's eye when those things are concerned.
But when we talk about the youths, as far as in the political equation, our local political equation, it sometimes makes me wonder, because if it's one thing I've learned looking at Brexit, is that I don't know where the youth vote is. There are youths who would come around and perhaps they would like to partake, and they have a good time and they dance and they wear the T-shirt. Some may not even be registered to vote, so I don't know how sincere they are. But when one would look at the young people who are attending UE. For some reason, it doesn't seem as though that political spark is there, that interest about their future. And so many of them are coming out, graduating with some of the highest honors, but unfortunately, there's no job placement for them. Where's the disconnection there? Because, when you say youth, it can be just a broad blanket. There are many factors that one has to look at as far as the youths in our society. Does it exist that they're even concerned or care about the future?
Yeah, so I think you could broadly classify that into those who would be academically inclined and those who would not be academically inclined. And that is the youth population I'm talking about, right? And if you were to tell the non-academic people or the non-academic youths who are not inclined in that area that you are going to provide certain things for them and it's not appealing to them, they may not gravitate towards that, and vice versa. So you have to know your target audience and the group of people that you're trying to attract, and you provide the opportunities based on their needs. So, for example, those people who would have gone to university and whatnot, the number one problem for them would be, unemployment after coming out and spending X amount of money on a job. On getting their degree. Right. So they want to have a job at the end of this. The youths in the communities who may not be as academic, and they may simply just want to have, recreation facilities to, where arts and culture and that kind of thing is concerned, that they could propel themselves in, because that is what they know. All right.
Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
I just want to say that we are very proud of what the NTA has established so far, and we are definitely on track headed into the general elections in 2025. And we look forward to the support of the rest of the population.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarran. Keep up the good work. Best of luck to you and your entire team. One last question. Are you throwing your hat in the ring for the general elections?
I think that is something that is really undecided right now. I think that is really in the hands of the party. I am willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. If that means staying on the outside and making sure somebody is getting the appropriate resources and push in the inside, that's fine with me, and vice versa. I'm cool with either way.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Take care, man.
Thank you.